I wasn't actually intending to make another video today. Been a bit prolific by my standards. This is the third one today, but my man Nathan sent me a late night link to some news, and I wanted to cover it briefly on the channel. Probably be a briefer video than normal. Joyce is set to fight Tom Little, as reported on Boxing Scene, for his second fight. The fight will take place on the Bellew Haye rematch undercard at the big pay-per-view bill at the O2 on December the 17th on Sky Sports Box Office. For those of you who don't know, Tom Little comes to the ring, 10 wins, 4 losses. Of his 4 losses, he's lost once by KO, which came earlier on in his career against Tom Dallas. And he's got 10 wins, 3 coming by way of knockout. Now, having a look at Tom Little's record, you would say that this is a step down from Ian Lewison. Tom Little hasn't performed at the same level as Ian Lewison, and strictly by looking at BoxRec, Ian Lewison is a step above Tom Little. However, I'm someone who's been aware of Tom Little actually from the early days. I think I first saw him when he was on Prize Fighter back in, was it 2012, I think, looking at his BoxRec. I've always liked Tom Little. I view Tom Little as a very skillful heavyweight with potentially quite a lot to offer for the divisions. You know, he's not a world level fighter, but he's a very, very good domestic fighter with above average skills. Tom Little, good friends with Billy Joe Saunders, very good friends with Tyson Fury. You know, you listen to those guys speak about him, they rate him very, very highly. And if you see him in the ring, if you see him box, you can see that he's a very skilled operator. Sadly, the story of his career to date has been one of underperformance. You know, he hasn't shown what he's capable of in the ring. And if we look at his losses, lost to Tom Dallas, a loss to Brian Minto, a loss to Dominic Akinlade, and a loss to Dorian Darts. Being frank, I would pick him to beat all 4 of those guys now if he were to fight them again. Tom Little's taken his career seriously now. He's now 30 years of age. He's kind of on a bit of a last chance saloon, I guess, with 4 losses under his belt. But honestly, the guy on his day is a good fighter. And, you know, he's got himself in better shape for recent fights. It's clear he's taken the game more seriously. Honestly, I would pick him to beat all 4 of those guys if he got his chance again. More recently, as I say, his form has improved. He actually did fight Tom Dallas again and knocked him out very, very early in really good fashion at York Hall at the start of this year. He then fought very, very tough journeyman Kamil Sokolowski, who, if I'm not mistaken, knocked out AJ Carter. Just having a look at Kamil Sokolowski, I think he might have beaten Sean Turner as well. Yeah, he beat Sean Turner. He beat AJ Carter. You know, he's a real decent journeyman. And last time out, Tom Little actually stopped Josh Sandland, who was a very, very good fighter. Only 2-0, but one of his wins was against Dominic Akinlade, who was the Southern Area title holder at the time, I believe. So, yeah, Tom Little, decent fighter. He's currently operating, I would say, between area title level and English title level. But he's a guy who I think is a decent test for Joe Joyce in his second fight. It's a similar standard, if not a slightly lower standard than Ian Lewison. But I believe Tom Little is the kind of guy who could stylistically cause problems for Joe Joyce. You know, Little's a guy who moves well. He's got a decent jab, decent combination puncher, decent agility and reactions in the ring. And also a tough man, you know, not a man who's going to be blown out of there in a round or 2 based on his career from what I've seen so far. You know, there'll be people watching this video who haven't even seen Tom Little. But, yeah, if you want to check out his recent win against Tom Dallas, I don't know if it's on YouTube, he looked pretty decent there. And that gives you an indication of what he can be about on his best day. Look, clearly Joe Joyce is going to be an overwhelming favourite for this fight. And I think it's near impossible to pick against Joe Joyce for this fight, you know. Tom Little's not the biggest puncher in the world. Only 3 knockouts, I believe, from his 14 ring appearances. Joe Joyce looks a very tough, big, strong heavyweight. Unlikely Tom Little's going to go out there and blow Joe Joyce out of the ring. Joe appears to have a very, very good engine. He appears to have a very, very good jab. You know, Little has had issues with stamina and weight in the past. If this fight, I don't know how many rounds it's over, whether it be 8 rounds or 10 rounds, whatever it is. If this is a fight that goes into rounds 7 and 8, we've seen Joe Joyce perform well in those rounds against Ian Lewison. I don't know when the last time Tom Little went to that distance is. I don't know how many rounds he had to fight against Kamil Sokolowski. I presume it was more like 6 rounds. So look, clearly, everything is in Joe Joyce's favour for this fight. You would assume Joyce is the bigger puncher. Joyce is probably going to be the fitter man who's coming at this date with a bit more notice. And, based on what they've shown in their careers to date, we can strongly say that Joe Joyce has already shown a higher level of form than Tom Little has in his 14 professional fights to date. But it could be a good fight. Joyce... we'll see. We'll see what approach he takes to this fight. But Joyce isn't the fastest on his feet. He isn't the fastest of hand, and there is a chance that Tom Little could have spells in this fight where he, he has a bit of success. If he can move around Joe Joyce, get his jab going, pick him from range a bit, there is a chance Tom Little could put on a better fight than I'm sure a lot of people expect. I'm not going to pick against Joe Joyce here. This is just an early thoughts video. Joe Joyce clearly an overwhelming favourite in this fight, and as I say, you wouldn't pick against him. But it's a fight that I like, and I think it's sensible matchmaking for a second fight. It's throwing him in at the deep end. Ian Lewison and Tom Little in your first 2 fights. And will be interesting to see how he copes with the test of Tom Little. I think these are good learning experiences for Joe Joyce early on. I think these are people who are going to give him rounds, who are going to allow him to work on his skill. And I think it's going to allow him to deal with guys. Lewison and Little are awkward guys. These are guys, Lewison had an extensive amateur pedigree. Tom Little's very, very skilled. Done a lot of grade A sparring. You look at the problems that Helenius gave Dillian White. You look at the problems that Kabayel gave Derek Chisora. These kind of fights on the way up teach you how to deal with opponents like that. Teach you how to deal with guys who have movement and distance and range. And I think that's no bad thing for Joe Joyce. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. It's just a quick one, but I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm sure it will get hate because Tom Little isn't really a big name, and it's quite easy to make an argument that it's actually a backward step from the first fight. So I don't anticipate this will be met favourably by the boxing hardcore. But for me, as someone who's been following Little on and off throughout the years, I'm interested to see it, and I think it's a decent enough scrap for a second fight. Leave your comments in the section below. Let me know your thoughts. Is there anyone out there who thinks Little could potentially cause an upset? Let me know. Is he being overlooked in this fight? Let me know if you know what kind of shape Tom Little's in. Obviously, he's probably taken his fight 5-6 weeks notice. That's enough time to get in some sort of condition. It's probably not enough time if you're coming into training camp very, very heavy. So if you know about that, let me know. And just if you've watched Tom Little's career to date, let me know. I mean, I think back to watching him in Prize Fighter now. Seems like a long time ago. He's someone I've followed since Prize Fighter, really, and he's disappointed me on a few occasions because I thought he'd beat Dorian Darts, I thought he'd beat Dominic Akinlade, and whenever those sort of fights at sort of area to English level have come up, unfortunately he just hasn't quite cut the mustard. But he's one of these guys similar to Ian Lewison, whose performances for me have just kind of not been ideal based on dedication to the sport and his condition when he's got in the ring. It's never been the skills that have necessarily been in doubt. And if he's knuckling down, if he's taking it more seriously, I see he's been calling out Joe Joyce on Twitter. So if he thought this fight was happening and he's been working away in the gym for a week or two, I'm not saying he's going to beat Joe Joyce, but I certainly think it's not inconceivable he could take a round or two off Joe Joyce. I was very impressed by Joe Joyce from the Ian Lewison fight. He showed a lot of maturity in there, and I thought he did a better job against Lewison than Dillian White did. And really, I thought he showed a huge amount of improvement from that Olympic gold medal fight. So I was impressed by Joe Joyce, but I like Little as well, and I look forward to seeing this fight. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Leave your comments in the section below. Give me a follow on Twitter at Boxing Gossip if you haven't done so already. As I always ask, if you've enjoyed the content, click the thumbs up button, support, and hopefully get us a little bit more visibility. If you haven't done so before, do subscribe so you can check out all of my other stuff. Many thanks for tuning in, guys.